Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. It is a long time no see for both you and I, and for the people that listen to us. Jacob, I haven't seen you since we've done the last podcast. So how you been?
Good. Yeah, it's been like a week. Very late, for this recap episode. For one reason or another, just couldn't get together. Timing was not right.
No, family stuff came up for me the last couple days. Preston's got exams coming up. I had to work with him. My mom's birthday was in there, and then you couldn't do over the weekend. So it is what it is. But we're here. We've been wanting to talk about this Lions victory. In some ways, one of the best victories of the year. I don't know what your opinion on it is but I think partly because of my expectations being a little bit lower going into the game, that I was very pleasantly surprised by this game. How did you feel after this game?
It felt good to win. It felt good to win in prime time. My expectations were tempered a little bit. We knew obviously that the Cowboys defense had not been great for most of the year, but they had been looking up. They were on a hot streak. They were a hot team, and we came in and took them out. It was great. It was a great win. That being said, we need to go back to back, right? I'm sick of the win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And it just seems like that is the general consensus. People felt really good after the Bengals win, and then we lose the Chiefs. We don't look very impressive against the Chiefs. Then we come back, really good win against the Buccaneers going into the bye week. Then we come out flat and lose the Vikings. We beat the Commanders, we lose the Eagles. Every time we win, everybody feels pretty good after the win, right? And it seems like with every loss, it's just that it just keeps this roller coaster is getting too much. And now, this is huge for our playoff chances. Obviously, we really need to get that one done and just take it one game at a time. This one, because we won that game, this one may not hold as much weight, but this is a prime game against a great team that we need to be able to compete and win that game. Obviously, we'll talk about that more in our Rams preview episode, but that's where my head's at right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on your win one, lose one, feeling good, because I could tell you after the Giants win, I did not feel good. So it was like 3 weeks of feeling bad in a row. We lost to Philadelphia, lost one against the Giants, but that took overtime in a game that we just did not play well in, and then obviously lose on Thanksgiving Day. So I went 3 weeks where I was just feeling pretty down about it. Not
true, but
giving
the general consensus, especially after Jameer Gibbs had that huge play in overtime, it kind of made people forget that this was the Giants that were playing with Jameis Winston, and that we,
Yeah. Well, I think you couple all that with the Bears just seemed to not lose, and they kept winning all these last second games, and just putting a little distance in between us. That it didn't leave good vibes for a lot of us. Plus, you figure with the tight end injuries and stuff, it was just a lot of bad things. I know a lot of people are, the crazies come out and want to fire Dan Campbell, want to fire Brad Holmes. I'm not saying they're not without their fault, and they don't, and they should have to answer for some of the stuff that goes on with the team. But I also don't expect everybody to be perfect all the time. Dan Campbell is the best coach this team has ever had, in my opinion. And doesn't mean that he gets a free pass on every decision he makes. Yes, he should be questioned, and he will take it like a man and take those questions. However, you also need to step back and sometimes just be grateful of the time that we're in. We get one more win, right, Jacob, and we're above 500. That'll be when have we been above 500 3 seasons in a row? Never in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So, you got, not saying that, hey, we'd not taken just mental victories and just be like, oh, well, we kept it close. This is not that Lions team. We need to win these games. That's this coming up week. And we will get, we're going to record on Thursday night this week. We're going to have Sheriff Joe Baggs, who was on with us last year because we played the Rams in the opener. So he was actually our first guest that we had from the other team that we ever did on this podcast. So it would be
Right.
great to catch up with him. He was awesome, very knowledgeable, just a fun personality, just a fun guy. So I really look forward to hooking back up with him, and that'll be on Thursday night. Um, but I want to remind everybody, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Jacob, we just hit our 1900th subscriber on YouTube today, number 1900, right on the dot. It took a little bit, a couple
Oh,
days. It was sitting on 1899 for a while. It was kind of like we should put a short up there just to get something up there. But
right. I was
no,
not able to put any shorts up of the Thursday night game. I was too busy watching that with the boys, and yeah,
yep.
there was a lot
I don't.
of things, a lot of post-worthy moments though.
Yep. Yeah. There were, and that was a fun game, and I can't wait to talk about it because I really wish. It was honestly like, I know that some of us have like turned the page, like we're on to the Rams right now. But honestly, I think this Cowboys game needs to be looked at, and we're going to look at the defense. Obviously, we had a really good defensive performance for I'd say a majority of this game. There were a few drives that we could have did better on, but I think for a lot of us, if we could repeat this performance against Stafford, 5 sacks, 3 turnovers, we'd take it 10 times out of 10, right?
Yeah, right. I don't
Uh,
know, with the yardage in terms of everything like that might look differently when you give that up to the Rams, but
yeah. No, but you know what? Our special teams look good, and um, you know, therefore we gave them a longer field. It's like some of that
right.
stuff, like the hidden yardage is at special teams. Like if you think about the Vikings, we kept giving them really good field position. That's why all their stats look bad because offensive stats look bad because they were starting on you know, positive field position, either us turning it over or them getting very good special teams returns. We were able to keep Turpin in line, which was very good.
Right. Are you ready to get into it or what? What do we got?
Yeah, let's do this. So let's talk a little transactions. Let's get everybody caught up, and then I'm going to touch base. Dan Pasca's in here. Got another to add WM. Was it WMW2? We'll get to the comments in just a second, but let's get everybody caught up with the transactions since our last podcast. So we signed Nick Whiteside back to the active roster. Unfortunately, I had to place tight end Brock Wright on injured reserve, which that's kind of old news for most of us, but since the last podcast we haven't really updated you on that. uh, I'm going to let you pronounce his name. What was it, Jay? I always say it wrong.
So the safety we signed, DeMonte Casey
Yes, there we
and
go.
defensive lineman Pat O'Connor, 2 additions to the practice squad, and we released wide receiver Andrew Armstrong from the practice squad.
Yep.
Short-lived for Andrew Armstrong.
Yeah, it was very, very short-lived. As far as the safety, obviously Branch is, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that here. Brian Branch they have not put him on the IR yet, which I find curious. Like, I don't know what the holdup is there. Like, are we getting a little bit of hope that he's not going to be placed on IR? But from all reports, he tore his ACL, so he has to be put on IR. But I'm kind of surprised why they haven't
Achilles,
done that
right?
yet. Yeah, it's I say ACL?
You said ACL, but right. Because that's what I was thinking too, is like, if it's just, I mean, what else could you have done to your Achilles that would even make like a closer return that he could come back this year?
Yeah.
Pretty much any sort of rupture or any kind of thing that you could do to it would be out for the season.
Right. Even if it's a partial tear, you would still not risk him, tearing the rest of the way. Like outside of maybe playing in the Super Bowl, like I could see, guy doing that. But even then, like you're one step away from tearing it, especially on like this turf that they play on.
Do you think he's talked to Aaron Rodgers about his medical methods?
Did you see my tweet? Because I think someone said something about like, I was like, you just see Aaron Rodgers, doctor, you'll be back by playoffs, baby.
Nice.
Yeah. He's a little younger than Aaron Rodgers, maybe even sooner. That might be like a 2-week injury.
Maybe he's not going to be out at all.
Get those stem cells. You're good, man. You're real good. So you're saying there's a chance. All right. So we signed Arthur Millette back to the active roster. We waived tight end Ross Dwelly. Ferkser had been he like doubled his snaps last week. I was still surprised that we dropped a tight end because we're very shorthanded at tight
Right.
end. So
Yeah,
I
I was very
very
surprised by that move.
very curious how we're going to handle that. And another thing that's in the news right now is Burkett is reporting tight end coach Tyler Roll is going to take the OC job at Iowa State. However, Rich Silva, also a beat writer, posted that that's not going to happen until after the end of the season. So it sounds like, not only will we be down all our tight ends, the coach is gone too. That room would be a total mess, but it sounds like he's hanging on until the end of the season, even through playoffs if we need to. So that was good.
Yeah, I guess he was the assistant head coach there last year. So I mean,
Yep.
it just makes
hmm
sense for him to return.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine for all. It's too bad for us too, because from all of uh, I've seen good reports from the tight ends. Love him. I like the way when he talks and gets up there. I'm really happy with him. So I'm happy for him as a person, but sad as the Lions, losing him.
Of course.
So let's talk about Brian Branch here real quick. So obviously injury. We don't know why he hasn't put on IR yet. But what do you think? I mean, what needs to be happen? What would you like to see in the back end now that Brian is not going to play for the rest of the season?
Obviously, it's a huge loss. Terrible.
hmm
The injury happened right at the end of the fourth quarter, so it wasn't really the same as where when Kirby went out, we got to see Thomas Harper, and Harper's been playing really well in place of Kirby, and now Brian gets hurt. Thomas Harper also had a concussion. Avante Maddox played pretty well, in play. So we've got good safety play. Will DeMonte Casey actually, come out and show enough that he's going to be playing meaningful snaps for us? Maybe. Daniel Thomas is also there, but he, was just too small of a sample size to be able to say what the move is, what we're going to be doing at safety. But I mean, it looks like best case scenario is that Harper is able to play. There's a mix of Harper Maddox out there with Kirby Joseph. Now, if
Yep.
Kirby doesn't play, then you're back to hopefully it's Harper and Maddox. If Harper doesn't play, then you're down to Maddox and Thomas. Like, there's way too many moving parts. There's way too many possibilities there. And that does concern me for a
Yep.
game coming up against the Rams, where we need good coverage and the versatility of Brian Branch, which Maddox is, able to move around and be versatile as well, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. I was wondering with the signing of Mollett, obviously he primarily plays nickel. They could push Amik back to the outside and that would put Rock, I know he did some safety work. So maybe they're thinking Rock is, another option at safety. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is what they're gonna do.
I mean, we got a really long look
Gibbs.
at Rock at safety pretty much like all preseason, right? And then,
Mhm.
here the season starts and I don't recall him
Yeah,
playing any snaps.
I don't remember either, but at some point like if you say if Thomas Harper's out, ideally Harper's in there in the back end. You got Maddox up in the Brian Branch spot. I feel pretty comfortable with that. It's all about Harper now. If Kirby comes back, then like we got. I'm hoping that Harper's back regardless, because then Kirby, because we don't know how much Kirby's going to hold up in a game, like for the full week. Kirby's going to want to play in this game against Stafford. Him and Stafford got a thing. I'd
Right.
really like for him to play, and then obviously the week after that he plays Aaron Rodgers. So Kirby's definitely going to want to be back for that game.
I mean, following social media, it seems like Kirby wants to be back. He wants to be in there every single week. And they,
Yeah.
he's just not, I don't know if he's not testing out well, whatever they're trying to make him do, whatever they're working him through, he's just not doing enough. It sucks. Really sucks. And
Yeah.
now with the Branch stuff, it just makes it that much more
It
urgent
does.
to get him back.
I agree. Let's hit on some of these comments before we move over to special teams there, Jacob. Comment from WMW2. Brad and Dan are the best combo the Lions have had. Going to be an interesting offseason to see how they adapt. The Lions are in a new place and that we haven't really been in before. And I agree with that. We kind of getting there. It'll be interested to see how we draft. Are we going to be drafted projects and, the later rounds? Are we going to draft for people that can help us right now? Well, that's been a complaint about what Brad Holmes' middle of the round strategy. So we'll see how that works out. And then I'm also curious what Dan does at OC during the offseason. That'll be a big topic, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am slightly concerned, about splitting Dan's time with. I'm confident with him being the play caller. It's a matter of like him letting other things go, whether it's a time management during the game or some other responsibilities. So we'll
Absolutely.
see. We'll see. I mean, it's the way we're going this year. We're riding this out. This is the way it's going to be. Hopefully, we could get some time management stuff down. I thought he managed the end of the half very well last week, but sometimes I've noticed that he'll let too much time slip off before the half. I mean, he is so gung ho about like not giving the other team a chance that sometimes he doesn't conserve enough time for our offense to go and get a field goal. But luckily this time it worked out for us.
Right. Yeah. This time he did. Defense held him to a field goal, and then we were able to sneak down there and get our own field goal to even it out. So you're right. It was good.
All right. Dan says the IR pay rate is less than the 53, so he thinks it happens this week. It'll save some cap money, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. He also says, something I didn't think about. Matt Campbell just left Iowa State, who was their head coach. Where Tyler Roll's going, but Matt Campbell left to go over to Penn State. But obviously, there's probably the AD and stuff still there. They know what they're getting in Tyler Roll. They probably felt comfortable bringing him back.
That's true, but then who's the head coach at Iowa State?
I don't know. Have they hired there? I mean, they have to hire. I don't know. I guess I could look that up.
I was going to say I have not heard of that, but I mean, you would think it would be somebody within like whoever the assistant head coach or whatever was this year, right? I mean,
yeah.
If they haven't hired a head coach yet, but they're going to offer the offensive coordinator job to somebody, that's weird.
Yeah, that would be very weird. So UMW also says we need a safety boost. Better to have one of our original starts than zero. I agree. I'm hoping Kirby's back. We need to get some turnovers in that back end. That would be really nice.
How many games this year if we had our starting secondary?
How many games has Kirby played? Because Branch played it. Well, Branch got suspended for one, but was Kirby in that one? I don't think Kirby was in that one because that was the Bucks game. So we had.
But Terry on missed time. DJ Reed missed time. Like somebody's been out for almost the whole. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how many games. I don't have it in front of me, but there's been very few games that we've actually had everybody.
Yes. Yep. Good thing we had depth back there. I mean, Rocky Sin has been godsend. He's played pretty good corner. He keeps getting face masks on the outside. They happened in the Commanders game, and it also happened in that Cowboys game. They caught the one on the Cowboys though, which was nice. But Rocky Sin was very under the radar signing, and that worked out really well.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to special teams. Let's start with TK, right? Tom Kennedy. We've been waiting for a return guy. Apparently, he's been on our practice squad all season, and yeah, Tom Kennedy got us in really good field position for this game. Every time he returned it, averaged 40 yards per return. Awesome.
Thanks to the turnovers and his returns, the average starting position for this game was the 41-yard line. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we've been talking about. We just need that spark. We need somebody. And I mean, it wasn't necessarily like he was juking or whatever. He kind of was just hitting the hole. But I mean, something about his vision and the burst that he had was awesome. He kind of got smoked by the kicker, I think, on the first one. On the way out of bounds, but
that's all right. I'll take it, man. Let Aubrey go in there. Wish he would have threw off his kicking game because he was on fire.
See, that's the problem is that Jake Bates saw that, and Jake Bates was like, "I'm going to lay the hammer on a hit too," and that's not how that played out. He got ran over.
He did. I don't think Bates was ready for that. When I watched it, like there was another. I don't know who else is back there with him. He just. The crappy thing about that is it all got called back anyways. So like it could have just let him run all the way back for a touchdown. I always think it's interesting, like when there's a flag on that, like, we're all about player safety and stuff like that, but they just let those guys just run full speed down the field and, someone's going to get injured when they could have just whistled that the play's dead. It can't go any further.
Now it's irrelevant.
It's dumb, but I get it. They might wave off the flag or something after they talk, but for the most part, once they throw that flag, especially on special teams, they're going to say block in the back or some sort of holding.
Right.
It's so hard when you play, like, especially now with, with the touchback coming out to 35, these kickers are kicking so long. And then the Cowboys have Aubrey, who's on another plane of existence as far as like he could kick deep and he's really accurate. Like,
were you aware before this game the level that it was at?
Oh, I knew he was good. I didn't
told you
know
if
the
they
like
get to the 50, they're kicking the field goal. I knew the way
yeah.
Ford Field is, the way it is. I knew that's what it was going to look like. And then
Yeah.
obviously he's kicking 60-yarders, 55, 57. Like, I mean, and it was like, every time they got kind of past the 50, fourth and I don't even know, it's like 4th and 3 or 4th and 5. They're like, no, we'll take the 55-yard field goal because it's almost automatic.
Ironically, I think the shortest kick is the one that he almost missed.
Yes.
Like that was
right.
super close, and that would have been awesome.
Funny how
Jake Bates did pretty good, except for the one that got blocked, right? And Dan Campbell didn't go for it on 4th and 5. We finally took the points right on like a reasonable, and then, and I know in his head, Dan Campbell's like, that's why I go for it because these are not automatic kicks, and I might as well just, taking it. But he did. I thought Dan Campbell called a really good game as far as like when to punt, like everything that he did. I was really happy, and the half stuff was really good. Yeah, and
Right. I mean,
I
Jack Fox
was
only had 2 punts, and we didn't go for it on 4th down at all. So I mean, it wasn't we were taking the points or we were using field position.
The one punt was weird. What Jack Fox had it like Turpin's their returner, their punt returner too, right? Yeah. So like he did that like hand signal, and they called it an illegal. Like he threw his hand up, and then he was going to try to return it, but I don't know what he was trying to signal if he wasn't trying to signal like a fair catch there.
So this is, which I mean, it's going to come up anyway, but like when that happened is when I knew right from that moment, I was like, we're going to be talking about these refs after the game. And it wasn't even like it was that bad before, but like, so a few plays before this happened was when Jared Goff like threw the ball into the ground and then they called it a fumble on the field and like they let it play it out. I was like, what the heck are they doing? It was like blatantly obvious. It's the same kind of thing that we get screwed over with though. But then replay assist fixed it pretty quickly. He was like, no, it's incomplete. It was obvious, but I was like, okay, these refs kind of suck. Like, hopefully that's the worst that it's going to be. But then, this weird, like, so he called for the fair catch, right? He raises his hand, but he catches the ball. There's no whistle. He catches it. He doesn't move right away, but there's no whistle. So then he kind of decides like take off. They didn't blow the whistle except for like 3 to 4 seconds after he caught the ball.
Right.
Well, then it's a flag because he called a fair catch and then tried to return it. So then, lucky for us, they started from their own 5-yard line. But then we get the safety that, that wasn't. Yeah. And then they overturned that, like, But yes, I knew the refs were going to be a problem with that. It's like he called fair catch. He caught the ball. Why don't you blow the whistle dead right away? What are you waiting for? Yeah. Why do you wait for him to start returning it and then you blow the whistle and throw the flag?
It was almost like the reaction of the Lions players what drew the whistle, like because the Lions, I don't know who was the first down there, but they were like, he called fair catch. They just totally stopped there instead of just blasting him.
Right. That's Turpin's
the other
second
call.
That's his second improper fair catch penalty in the last like 3 weeks or something like that. It's the second time
really?
it happened. Second time it's happened to him where he's caught the ball and, I don't know. He just needs to stop. If you call fair catch, just stop running. But I don't know. I guess alternative.
Do you think like he's shading like his eyes, like so he could see the ball or something? Like
maybe in Dallas.
Yeah,
in Dallas with their stadium where all the sun in their face, but not in Ford Field.
Yeah, and then while you're talking about it, the offsides that that was like that offsides was very similar to the one with the Steelers and Packers, right? Like Aaron Rodgers thought it was an obvious offsides, threw the ball. Same thing, Jared Goff, that was an offsides. They didn't call it. And then even beyond that, Jameson Williams was that was pass interference. Like they grabbed his shoulder pad and like wouldn't allow him to turn. It was just really bad.
And it only got worse. I mean, I don't have it right here, but there's a long list of calls that were really bad, that were very questionable. I thought it was funny, like, so when they called it a safety, they show all the replays of this when we tackle Jack Campbell with a great sack.
Yeah.
And we tackle him. It's like, no, it doesn't look like that. It's the same as a touchdown, right? If the ball is across the plane at all, then it's a safety. Almost every angle that they showed looked like, yes, this is a safety. It was called a safety on the field. They took a very long look at it. Then they've got Terry McCauley, the rules analyst, on there. He says, yes, this is a safety. Looks like it's not clear. And then they come back, it's not a safety. And, they're like, wow, I don't really get that at all. And I had made a comment to the boys. I'm like, they're going to have to say something about why that wasn't a safety. And then sure enough, it was like a couple minutes later, Now they have a different camera angle. And then Terry McAulife's like, oh, you know what? This is what they saw in New York. This was the correct call. I was like, the NFL made him get back on. Like, we need you to say that we did it right.
Yep, that was totally an NFL. Like I knew that as soon as I saw, but even that replay was like very short, and I would have liked to seen it again. I still think it's a safety. I'm
It was like
still
by a
upset about it.
hair, maybe, but it was not. I don't know. I don't think you could say it was indisputable when he got hit because he got drove back. So I mean, if they
Right.
called it that on the field, they're supposed to keep the call.
Right. Is it like is it like the second that Jack Campbell touches him, or is it like when he's like got him in his grasp? Because that's different too, right? That's I remember Jared Goff. Remember there was a play last year where Jared Goff tried to extend over the end zone, and then he pulled the ball back. And they said when he pulled the ball back, they gave him that we got a safety. That was last season. We had a
I
play like
don't
that. That was
remember
really
him pulling
weird.
it back in that.
Yeah, so like he extended the ball, it was out, but then like he was pulling it back
And
like
they
towards his
called it a
body so it
safety.
wouldn't fumble, and they called it a safety.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember them. I faintly remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember us that like not going our way.
Yeah, it was inconsequential to the game, like the result of the game, but it was I just remember it
Right.
because it was so
Still
weird.
crap.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Every game, it's not just Lions games, man. Every game I'm watching, they're just like you talk about the Ravens game too. I mean, we don't need to get into all that because we're going to talk about the Lions here, but they are really some really, really, really bad calls this year that are just totally inconsistent.
Yes.
All right, Jacob, let's move on to the defense here. Like I mentioned earlier, 5 sacks, 3 turnovers. AQM, you've been calling for it for weeks. Get him more snaps, and lo and behold, we get in there and he gets 3 sacks in this game. I'm sure you were feeling really good about yourself
Yeah,
when
right.
that happened.
I mean, he played 46% of the defensive snaps. Hutch still played 94%. So they did dial back a little bit for Hutch. They did give him a breather on a couple of these plays. But yeah, AQM finally out there a significant amount, and he got the job done, right? He got home. As good of a job as Hutch is doing, and I know that people are still like, he had, depending on where you look at it, Hutch had 9 to 10 pressures, but did not get a sack. He was there, he was almost home, but almost just is not good enough all the time. He creating some disruption, but AQM on the other side of him gets 5 pressures, and he's able to get 3 sacks. And that made a huge difference being able to get those sacks. And some of these were like really clutch plays.
Yes. Well, I mean, this has been the difference like between us in the past. We weren't getting turnovers and we weren't getting sacks. So they're like it's really on the defense to stop drives. And if the other team's not making mistakes with penalties, it's really hard to keep them behind the sticks if you're not doing that. And plus then we were letting up huge explosive plays, especially the last 3 weeks. It's been one big play after other. So we gave up some explosives in this game, but however, you could stop drives and keep them to field goals when you're getting sacks. And, obviously the turnover right after the half was massive for this game. I mean, you talk about massive because then we go and score 2 plays later. And that was a big difference between earlier in the year when we were getting turnovers, we weren't scoring. We were going 3 and out. Well, Dan Campbell put the pressure right on him. We were getting, that all happened before Dan Campbell took over the play calling. It seems, he put the pressure right on him and we were scoring.
It's funny if you noticed, he had the interview. Dan Campbell was interviewing, talking about the turnover, like right before Derek Barnes got the pick. And it was just like, I think Abik was the one that got the pick last year. Yeah, okay.
No, it was Carlton Davis got the
Carlton Davis
got the one on CJ Stroud. Yeah. Yeah. That was the Houston game. He was like, yeah, we got to get a turnover. And then, right there. Like, that was so awesome. I was waiting for an interference flag because, like, oh, this is too good to be true for us to get interception right out the break. But we didn't get, there was no flag. It was great coverage. George Pickens, I don't know if you noticed this, but he asked for a flag on every single play. Like, if there was any sort of contact, and like some of them, like, we were not even touching them until after the ball had gotten there, and it was like, it's annoying. I hate when they ask for penalties on every single play. It's so annoying.
Well, he was not able to get much going on offense, which, I mean, really was the reason that they stalled out because, CD Lamb it always sucks when somebody gets hurt, especially when it was like that. He got a concussion. It didn't look good right away. But I mean, the day started off really bad for DJ Reed because they had DJ over CD Lamb for most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
He covered CD on 13 snaps. He was targeted 5 times, and he had 5 catches for 105 yards. And that's the most yards to a single receiver that DJ Reed has allowed in his career.
Yep.
But then obviously the concussion happened. So then he lines up over Pickens 24 times, and Pickens has 2 catches for 15 yards. And then, with the huge interception to seal the game. So much better later in the game than early for DJ Reed. After CD went out, George Pickens didn't have it this game. He was not much of a threat. It was Flournoy, the other receiver, that seemed to be, creating more of a problem for us.
I know. It's like we forgot him, the miscommunication between Amik and BB. However, Amik took responsibility for that.
Right.
I still not 100% convinced that it was all on Amik on that one. It looked like he was sitting low in the zone. Like
Yes.
if you look like he passed off and he's expecting BB. BB's looking in the end zone or in the backfield, and the wide receiver's just wide open. That was
Right.
bad. That was the worst drive. So that was a fourth quarter drive, 4 plays, 70 yards. They start with a 12-yard run, 11-yard run, give up a 5-yard pass and a 42 yard pass to Flournoy, and that was like, okay. I started to get a little worried because that's not what was happening in the first half of the game, and that brought the score to 30-27, so it got them within a field goal at that point. And it was it was a bang bang drive, and that's why I don't like 4 plays, 70 yards. That sucks.
Right. Yeah, that was huge. And we needed the offense to answer, and they did. So
Yep. We'll get to the offense here in a second. I do have a question for you. So, we haven't got pressure in a while. Shep finally got pressure. But I gotta be honest with you, in social media land, and maybe I'm just not seeing it. If AG would have been through this streak, people would have wanted him fired. I didn't see a lot of Shep hate. Did you see a lot of that, or did you hear any of that, or did you have any thoughts about the whole Shepard and not getting pressure? Or
just in general,
I'm
like
just
in the
saying,
weeks leading up to this game or this
yeah, the
season.
weeks leading up, like I didn't see as much hate as if my thoughts, if AG is, in charge like this year, like say he didn't get the Jets and he's still in charge of the defense, there'd be people calling for his head. They would have not liked that, but I did not see people calling for Shep's head. So I was wondering what your thoughts on that were.
True. I mean, maybe they've got, just a certain sort of rookie, like it's his first year. Maybe he's got a little bit of wiggle room versus AG had been here for a little bit and people were already kind of growing tired. But Shep's had a pretty good season, for what we've been dealt with as well. And I mean, coached a good game against the Buccaneers. The Vikings, he really didn't give up too much. The Commanders, it's been these chunk plays and these third downs and different things that have been kind of killing us. But yeah, you're right. We give up a ton of yards to the Giants. We lose to the Packers. We needed to answer. I mean, the pressure is nice. It's great. I mean, it would happen at big moments. Had this been against a team with a regular, like normal kicker, they probably would not have been as close as they were because not all of these are just, guaranteed kicks.
Right.
That could be like a 12-point difference there. And then the game looks way different. And if he's missing them, then we're starting, from the 50-yard line where he's kicking it from. So that all goes into play too. But I mean, this is still, I think it's the second most yards we've given up this season.
It's the number one offense. I figured we were going to give up yards, and the fact that they were playing from behind, they had to do that. And so they gave up long drives, but it's the sacks that, like, those are drive enders, man, or it's drive stallers, and so it's okay to give up explosives when you're stopping other drives and getting turnovers. You could afford to do all that stuff. I think what I liked is that we sacrificed some of the run defense to get a little more pressure, more immediate pressure, and took the reins off of, and put AQM in and let him go.
Right.
It was, I was waiting, like the way that game started was James Houston got a sack for the Cowboys, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to hear about it. Like, we're going to hear that we got rid of James Houston, and now he leads the Cowboys in sack. But I don't know if you noticed this. The one, like, it was like the second drive, Gibbs had a huge screen pass out in the flat, and it was James Houston did not lock him down on the edge, just blew right by Gibbs, and then so like it was like the stuff that we would see in Detroit where Houston's very good at rushing the passer, but he's not very good at everything else. And Lions just don't like players like that. But Houston beat Sewell for a sack, and I was like, oh my god, this is just looks terrible when we're not getting pressure, and a Castaway's getting sacks on Penei Sewell.
Well, I mean, we talked about it in the preview. Like, it's bad enough that he's on the team, right? Like, he was on our practice squad. He was on the team. He kind of went back and forth, but now here he is on this Cowboys team and playing pretty well. And then for the first try for him to get a sack, like, please don't tell me this is going to be like another like breakout game for James Houston, but it was not. He came back down to earth. He got a roughing the passer penalty that was pretty costly, I believe, later in the day.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot of snaps either. So I mean, you just look at it, and they were short on edge because Clowney was out too. So it is what it is. Houston's very good at rushing the passer, but he's also going to give up huge plays in the run game, or like in this case, it was a screen game.
Real
Anything
quick.
else on?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I've got a couple more things. Just I got to shout out Jack Campbell again. So Jack Campbell's still playing at an all-pro level, still like doing just such an amazing job. 12 tackles and a sack, almost a safety, a hair away from having a safety. But they're sending him at random times and creating some pressure, and he gets in there very, very fast. And I mean, he's just so quick at closing in on the ball. He had a punch out as well, right? I don't have that on here, but that
he had the punch out. We had that. Yeah,
another
that
classic punch out from him. I don't know if it was him, but I feel like it was him. Somebody we tried to punch out the ball, but we missed, and we just punched the receiver, whoever it was, like directly in the neck, like in the back of the neck. It was like that had to have hurt. It's like that's what they're trying to, because they've got this threat of like, we're going to throw the flags if you punch and miss. Just like a direct shot to this guy's neck. I don't know if it was Jack. It might have been Amik, because if it was Jack, he might actually hurt somebody really bad. But another great game from Jack Campbell. One other thing I want to talk to you about, I know the refs, but I mean, Anzalone got away with a hold or a defensive pass interference, right? I mean, whatever you want to call it, a hold, a defensive pass interference, or whatever, he got away with one. Them like throwing the flag, them picking up the flag would have been horrible. That would have been like almost the worst thing that could have happened. But then instead, they keep the flag and say, actually, it's on the offense. That's the worst, and that's kind of what obviously the Cowboys fans have kind of stuck on, because that was a huge moment where they could have got the ball right there at the one or got closer. And then instead they call it on the offense, which when you slow down and super slow-mo, you can kind of see maybe he's grabbing on to Anzalone a little bit, but that's so incidental, and there's just no way they saw that live, and that's what they're going with. So, I mean, what are your thoughts there? Like, do you think that was a good call? Do you think they got screwed? Do you think this is payback for, the playoffs?
I don't know. If you look at Alex, there was a funny Twitter exchange on Alex Anzalone. So Alex Anzalone tweets about that play. And then some guy under the comments, like the first comment I saw was, I don't know what game you're watching, bro, but the it was like, bro, he is the player, you idiot. And it was just so, I laughed so hard about that. It was just so funny. I think the Lions got away with one there, although Alex Anzalone just swears he was pulled because he's like, my body doesn't turn that way. However, I think the perception is that flag was thrown, like everyone just assumes defensive pass interference, right? So then when they flip it and call on the offense, we decline the penalty. So, I mean, you could say either, so the flag on them didn't matter. Only mattered is if you thought it was defensive pass interference. Like that'd be the only case, because we declined the penalty, but they end up kicking the field goal, right, to get within one score. So, because at that point it was 10 points, so they got within one score.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it was egregious pass interference, defensive pass interference, though, either. I mean, they could have called that, but I didn't think it was like did you think it was that bad? Did you think Alex should have been called?
It looked like, well, I mean, obviously because the flag was thrown when you're looking at that play, if you don't know what the outcome was and you're like, this is a penalty, who is this on, what is the call? Then, I mean, I think you would either have called PI or holding on Anzalone. But You could have just, if they didn't throw the flag, you could have just said, well, they're just kind of hand fighting. They're letting them play. But definitely for the result to be offensive pass interference is just wild to me. But it is what it is. It was interesting that we declined it though, right? So we declined the penalty. It would have made it 3rd and 13, and said we decline. It's going to be 4th and 3. Yep. And then the Cowboys still, like I said, they will take these points. They'll take the kick, most of the time, and they did here to get within the touchdown, but. Were you surprised that they just decided to take the points there? And do you think Dan Campbell knew like they were going to take these points, and that's why we're not going to?
I think that's why he did it. I think that's why he declined. Because I think either way, like he thought, okay, if they go for it on 4th and 3, then we can end the game right here. So like I think at some point, like he's thinking, because I don't like giving them another chance. I know that CD's out by this point, but Florida is still kicking our butt like deep. And you still got Pickens. I know Pickens didn't have a great game, but you still got to worry about that.
True,
and
right.
That's a very high potent offense. So I think I'm with Dan. I probably would have declined it either way. If they go for it and they don't get it, then, we can end the game right there. If they do the field goal, okay. But if they go and score a touchdown, even then we're still up. We're not giving up the lead. Now, if it's a 1-score game, like we're up by 7, I probably take the penalty there, because they're probably going to go for it. Can't remember how much time is left in the game at that point, but I think it's
350.
Like
350.
So he's probably going for it, right? Like if you're down by 7 there, I think you probably go for it, as opposed to down by 2 scores. You're just hoping to get within 1. You're hoping your defense gets a stop, and obviously they didn't. So
right, they did not. 42-yard kick return by Tom Kennedy. 37-yard catch by Amon Ra, and then another run. It was another thing, though. It was like, man, we almost scored too quick. Now they still get the 2-minute warning and everything.
Yeah, let's move on to the offense, because we've been talking for a while here. So like that, I'll just because of what you said, that's a good segue. When I looked at the drive summaries, this was like a lot of like I know we would have some long drives, but there was a lot of drives the last couple seasons where it's like 4 plays, 2 minutes, and we're scoring. And that's how this game went. And I was really surprised that we were able to be able to have that way with Cowboys defense. Have been playing a lot better, and we were just having our way with it. A lot of success. We were not very successful in the run game. However, Dave Montgomery had that long run, and Jameer, in the second half, he was getting some, 10-yard runs for touchdowns. So we had enough success to keep them honest, but I thought Jared Goff and the protection was really good for a vast majority of that game.
Absolutely. It made a huge difference. Him having time, I think the play calling and everything worked out. It was just a solid offensive game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Real quick, just want to start with this, just because this is while we're talking about the line holding up and everything. So, Miles Frazier, we see Miles Frazier and Tristan Colon. So kind of similar, like Sonic and Knuckles taking turns, handling the rock. You've got Colon and Frazier splitting time at left guard. First, like, what are your thoughts? I don't recall ever seeing something like this where they take turns on these different drives like that. I like the continuity, and it seems like they work better as a unit when they are all, like you get the same group of guys and get them working well together. But they shuffle those 2 guys out. So, like, overall, what are your thoughts about that?
So my first inclination is that Cologne is serviceable, but they want something more. And so they're like, they're going to put in Miles Frazier. He must be showing enough in practice that they felt comfortable that he could hold his own, because they're not going to put him in there. This is a must-win game. It's not like we have time to mess around here. So my feeling is that, and also Cologne let up a lot of pressures earlier in that game. He seemed to play a little bit better later on. Maybe them pulling him for Frazier lit a little fire under Cologne and said, because I was shocked when I saw Frazier in there. I was like, well, that's weird that, he's only been practicing for like 3-4 weeks. He didn't even get training camp. So it's like, I don't even like. I was shocked. You had to be shocked. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. I mean, I noticed when he was out there right away. But then my first thought was Cologne got hurt, and I was like, well, here you go. It's time to show what you have now. Like, I didn't think he was gonna. It's a tall task to be like, hey, rookie, I know you've hardly practiced and everything like that. We're trying to get you up to speed. We need you to go guard Quinnen Williams, though.
Yeah.
Keep our quarterback safe. We need to run. Here's Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Odigizua, like all very, very good defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And, Frazier, for the most part, held his own. He did have a couple of false start penalties. I know he gave up a pressure or two, but I didn't think it was a bad game. And it seems like he did show enough where he, possibly maybe getting another look here. But Cologne, I didn't really notice much early on from him. I noticed when he was out of the game when Frazier was there. Because that was when Gibbs, when we had that run from the 1 yard line, they ran it right behind Frazier, and he had a good block. But at the very end, that 13-yard run from Gibbs for the touchdown, Cologne pulled and had a one-on-one block and set up that block for the touchdown. So, maybe it's not a bad thing that they're keeping some fresh legs, rotating them in and out.
Yeah, I think it's promising in one angle that they're giving Frazier a look. Like that means that he's shown enough that they trust him in this position. However, it's a shame that we have to. You would hope that Cologne would be able to step in there, but obviously, Awasiko's out. We're on third guard, right? So it's like
right.
What can you expect from these guys? But that being said, I mean, outside of the 2 false starts by Frazier, and then Ratledge had a false start too. That those we got to get that cleaned up. However, Goff had plenty of time to make plays, and I wanted to ask you: the first play went to Amon-Ra. Do you think that was on purpose? Do you think they're like, we're just gonna show that Amon-Ra's got it, and we're gonna make get him involved very early on, or do you think that just he happened to be open on that play?
I think a lot of these are designed to go to Amon-Ra, right? He's the first look on a lot of these plays, and I think that was just lined up. I think maybe not we're going to get it to Amon-Ra to show that he's still here or whatever, but I do think that this was hey, he's out here. It's business as usual. We're going to feed him the ball.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they, had any sort of special, let's get this first one to him real quick. I think it was just hey, this is the offense. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, he looked good too. If I didn't know he was injured before the game, I would have never known that he had, a pretty severe ankle injury from the previous game. Because he looked good. I was holding my breath after that first catch, though. After
Yes,
he
right.
got tackled or pushed out of bounds. I can't remember exactly how that went down, but I was like, okay, he's walking pretty good. And then even in that fourth quarter, you talked about it. They had that crosser and he took it. He had another crosser earlier in the game that he got a lot of yak on too. So he played way better than I expected and played way more snaps than I expected, to be honest with you.
Right. I mean, but it was so huge to be able to have him out there.
I know. Yes. It was great, and it got all the wide receivers in the position they want, they should have been. But one thing that was awesome was Jamo still had a really good game, right? I mean, he did that comeback route, which we've been wanting. That is so hard for someone to be running at full speed, to have enough strength to stop and get back. It is impossible to defend one-on-one, in my opinion, unless you're going to totally take the gamble and let him fly by you. And okay, so start guarding that short one, and then Jared Goff will just throw it right up to you, and that'll be the 60-yard bomb. That play is so tough, and the only that's the pass interference. He had one on the sideline. It was a stop route, and they grabbed him so he couldn't get his shoulder turned to get squared to the ball to catch it. On that pass interference play that we talked about earlier, it was the same type of thing. He's running, you got to respect that speed, and now he's strong enough in his lower body to stop himself and just turn around. And him and Goff, we had to rely on him in the Packers game when Amon-Ra got hurt early, and I'm hoping that we're paying dividends as the trust level goes up between them, and Dan Campbell trusts to call different routes for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're right with the comeback thing. If Jared Goff has time and they've got the timing down, you can't stop that. If you're in single coverage and Jameson Williams is running full speed, as a corner, you're keeping your eyes on him. But once he gets past you and you turn your hips, if he's running full speed, you have to get to full speed to catch up to him. And it's going to take you an extra second to get to full speed. And then once you're running full speed, he's stopping on a dime. And you just can't time that up right. You cannot defend that if it's timed perfectly. And that was an awesome play.
Couple things I want to say hi to Passing Time. They showed up. So what's going on, guys?
Time.
Yeah, it's up. Check out their show. Another great Lions podcast. Two guys just like us, fans that talk about football. So I highly recommend them. And then we have another question. Jacob, we're talking about the offense, but what's your favorite touchdown this season? Do you have one?
Maybe a little bit of recency bias, I guess, but the Jameer Gibbs, the overtime, the first one, that's what I would go with.
That's pretty sweet touchdown. Yeah, I don't know which one I would like. I, my mind's on that Demo one that he just had in the Cowboys game. I love those type of runs where he's almost getting pulled down and then he just powers away. Plus, they broke the record with that one, so that was awesome. That was awesome to see. I'd have to think about it further, but the JMO deep in that Chicago game, there was some fun stuff. But it's probably I think that Jameer won in overtime just because also I was there. So that's a great pick there
Right.
too. I like that. All right. Let's get back to this Cowboys game. We think that it reminded me of offenses past is that we talked about the Frazier had the false start. There was also a hold. So we started a drive on 1st and 25. That's when we did the JMO comeback route. That was on 2nd down. So 1st and 25. Earlier in the season, we stall out on that, right? We're not getting that. So I think we go to Amon for like 8-9 yards, and then we do the comeback route to JMO. We get the first down, we go down. It was, it just felt like this is the explosive offense that we're used to. Like we could just go right down the field, and you can't really stop us if we're doing what we should, be doing. We talked to like Dan Campbell said so much this season that like we are stopping ourselves either through penalties or missed assignments or something like that. Things seem to be going. I don't know if it's a sense of urgency that where we're at in the season, and we need these games to get in the playoffs, but we're going to need another game where we're clicking against the Rams, both offensively and defensively. So it was good to see that.
Yes. I mean, this was a warm-up game compared to what that one's going to be. So, as of right now, though, the Lions have moved into first place in scoring offense. I don't know if you knew that, but because we outscored the Cowboys, we slowed them down. Now we're the number 1 scoring offense in the league. So,
yep,
the offense has not went
As
anywhere.
much as we've had worries about them, as much
Yeah.
as we have worries about the offense, we're the highest scoring. I know when we talk to these other, when we get like the Commanders guys on there, like you guys are complaining about your offense. It's honestly the big thing this season has been just complementary football. When our offense is playing well, our defense isn't playing well, or we're giving up big special teams plays. And I thought the first half of this Cowboys game was the best complementary football between special teams, defense, getting turnovers, offense scoring up the turnovers, special teams setting up the offense for good plays. I thought the first half of this Cowboys game was one of the best, if not the best, that we played all year. I think the Bucks, we had some really good stuff going on too. But as far as like all three phases working together, I think that was how I want to see the rest of the game, the rest of the season go. We're going to need, halves like that.
Well, this was the best game that we've had in special teams all year, and that's with the field goal block. So I mean, a lot of things went our way.
Did talk about complimentary football, get two, the 3 turnovers. The one, sealed the game. That was at the end of the game. But the other 2, we get 14 points off those turnovers. I mean, that's gigantic to get 14 points. We were getting turnovers earlier in the season, but we were getting stalled out. And this, to get 14 points just totally turned that game around.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what we said before. We needed to see more turnovers. We need to see more points off the turnovers. We need to see more happen, and they did it. I mean, that's how you win football games, right? You get these turnovers, you make the team pay, and we were getting the turnovers early on. We weren't making them pay. We were kind of shooting ourselves in the foot when we had the opportunity right in front of us, and that didn't happen this time. We showed out, despite like that one that you were talking about. I think Skipper had a hold when Ratledge had the false start, but that was off the fumble. I think like we had just recovered the fumble. We get momentum going our way, and then now it's 1st and 25 or 2nd and 25 or whatever it'd been. So just way to respond. Our back was against the wall. Everybody was feeling like the pressure. Like I think the mood inside the building is different. I always feel like they're going to compete. I always feel like they're going to win. We're going to be able to do good each week, but now it kind of, I think the realization set in, like, maybe we don't control our own destiny right now if we lose this game. So we've got to win. The playoffs start here. We got to win here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at the playoff models, we can afford to lose a game as long as it's not against the Bears, but we don't want to leave anything up to chance. We've got to take care of business now.
100%. Bears play the Packers. Obviously, they played on Sunday. Depending on your wish, the Bears losing helped us for playoffs overall, but did not help us for the division. So if you had hopes for the division, it's still not, it still can happen. Bears play the Packers again. They could lose there, and then the Packers could lose another game. And I think we might be all right, but we have to go undefeated the rest of the way, which that's not going to be an easy thing to do. So
We take care
I
of
just want
business, and they lose. We need to root against them every time.
Yeah, I just want to get into the playoffs at this point, and then we can let the cards go. Because if we're playing hot, like to get to playoffs, like you said, we're basically going to have, we go 4-1 to end the season, and I'll be happy with that. Like I would feel really good going into the playoffs like that, and especially you're going to have to beat Minnesota and Chicago on the road. And Minnesota, I don't know, you know, JJ McCarthy. I don't know what JJ McCarthy we're going to get. They scored 31 points last weekend. But if we could get the JJ McCarthy everyone calls the worst quarterback in the league, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, right. I don't know where that's coming from, but we need to see it. We need to make him look that bad. Can't be
Exactly.
letting him rush for touchdowns against us.
No. Well, we just need to, we need to manage to get some turnovers from them, and we also just need to stop with special teams. We shot ourselves in the foot that game. Dan Campbell won't let that happen. We'll get that figured out. Dan Campbell wasn't calling plays on that. So,
Right.
is there anything else on
Yeah, real quick before
offense?
we move on, just a
Yeah.
couple, not necessarily just about this game, but the bodies of work that we have. So Jameer Gibbs reached 47 career touchdowns, which ties Barry Sanders for the most touchdowns scored in NFL history through 3 career seasons, which also ties Barry Sanders for most touchdowns scored before the age of 24 in NFL history. So everyone that doubted the Jameer Gibbs pick or didn't understand it when it happened, you have officially been silenced. He, you would think he's probably going to hopefully score a few more touchdowns before the season's over and, break that record. David Montgomery played limited snaps, but he had 6 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. He had that huge breakaway one. So, I mean, that was not a bad game for him. I think he only played like 18 or 19 snaps. But, so they both scored a touchdown in the same game. That was the 15th, which I know you already mentioned, the most games in which each member of a running back duo has produced a touchdown. Just more accolades, more awesome things about the Lions. Amon Ra, sure you saw most of this stuff, but for anyone that didn't, Amon Ra established a new record for most receptions through 5 seasons in NFL history. So the previous record belonged to Michael Thomas, who had 510 receptions through 5 seasons. Amon Ra now has 511, and he still gets a few more games, to add on a few more receptions to that record. And the last thing I have, Amon Ra and Jamo are actually Detroit's first set of teammates to log 800 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns through 13 games of a season. Detroit's first set of teammates since 1995. Do you know who did it in 95?
Perriman and Moore, right?
There you go. Herman Moore and Brett Perriman.
Believe me, I remember that offense. That was dynamite. You had Barry back. Oh my God. That was a fun time. We couldn't stop anybody, but man, it was fun
This
on
is a
offense.
fun time, right? Now we're stopping people.
I know it is. Yeah. I know this has been an up and down roller coaster season. I was actually chatting with Jeremy Reisman about that. Like he's been a true roller coaster season of emotions for all of us, I think. But this is the time where I'm gonna change. The title of this one is "Change the Narrative." This is the time that we're gonna change the narrative on this season. We're not gonna end the season. We're not gonna be out of the playoffs like the Chiefs. We are going to, excel, and this is what we got to do. If we go into the playoffs with a 4-0, the end of the season at 4-1 or 5-0, I mean, no one's going to want to face us in the playoffs. We are going to be set, and I'm confident going in. This will go a long ways now. I hope that we make this game competitive. I hope that we win, and I think that we have a very good chance at winning versus the Rams. And we'll talk about this in our preview podcast. But Stafford obviously scares me. He's just playing at an MVP type level this season. but I think the Lions defense matches up well with what the Rams want to do. So hopefully we could take advantage of that.
Right. Hey, we're gonna find out.
Yep. So we'll record that Thursday night into Friday. But before that, before we leave here, let's talk about our roar alert. Both of us hit on this one, I would say. I had Jamison Williams led the Lions with receiving yards, 96 yards, 7 catches, had some really key catches to get first downs that comeback route we talked about. That was super awesome. And you had Jared Goff, 25 for 34, 309, 1 TD. The only miss that I would say that I wish we had back was that Tesla throw right before the half. Like, I
Yes.
really wish that would have been an awesome touchdown. God, that couple that with us getting a touchdown at the, get the interception, get a touchdown. Oh my
Right.
God. Oh, that would have been
That'd have been over with there.
killer.
Right.
But
300 plus yards, only the one touchdown, but I mean, you let Gibbs do most of the work. Yeah.
exactly. Someone's got to hand off to him. But no, Jared Goff he was on point. He had time, making great decisions. We got 3 turnovers for them. He did not turn the ball over. He was on point, and I would have liked, like, I for sure that where he threw to Tesla, like, he threw it like on the outside there. He knew that he couldn't afford to take a sack. Like, that would have put him out of field goal range, and I think that's why he rushed that throw. Because after I watched it back a couple times, I was like, he had time. He could have thrown that one, but I feel like he was like, I know I can't take a sack here. I gotta get rid of the ball, and we'll take our 3 points, which, it's fine. That's a decision he make, but I really would have loved to see Tesla get that touchdown. He was wide
Right.
open because the cornerback fell.
Yeah.
Dan says, thanks, guys. I'm glad to be able to catch you live. Been busy. All the best and go Lions. Dan, thanks for chatting with us today. We missed you on the
Absolutely.
chat. I'm glad you'd be able to catch us live. So great Lions fan. Dan is always involved with a lot of Lions podcasts. He's always got good comments, great questions. Just seems like a positive dude all around. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Our great guarantee, I said 2+ sacks. Man, I should have went out and went 4+ sacks, right? We got 5, but I'll take, I'll take my win.
You should have,
however,
but
said,
you always love to play it safe. Like, what can.
yeah. Hey, we hadn't had a sack in a while. Like 2+ sacks, that was asking for a lot. And then we got one really early on, and I was like, first couple series, I was like, okay, well, only one more. I'm feeling good. But they came in bunches, luckily for us.
Right.
You said someone's going to score their first touchdown in this game. That did not happen, but we scored enough touchdowns to score 44 points, I think it was 44, right? So that,
Yeah.
uh,
Early, like Ross Dwelly caught the ball, I think like the first
mhm,
drive. Ferkser,
yeah,
had a catch as well. I was like, they might catch them in the end zone here. And then,
yeah.
Derek Barnes had the interception. I was like, go, man, go all the way.
I thought for sure he was going to score when he caught that. I didn't like. He said that he
Right.
was cramping up or something because, like, I was like, who else is back there? Like, he should be able to score. He did not look like he'll be taking over for a tight end for
You
us.
get stiff armed by Jameis Winston and hit the ground, and then you get tackled by Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That's okay though. I'm all right with that.
No.
Great guarantee failing.
Hey, we scored 2 plays later, so it's all good. Got anything else? Any final thoughts, Jacob?
I don't, man. We're moving on. Good win, but we've got to bring it against LA.
I know. It's a big one. It's huge. 4:25 on Sunday, so it's be waiting a little bit longer. Kind of surprised it didn't at some point move this ahead, but maybe the Lions weren't winning enough at that point to move this to a Sunday night game. And then but it's all good. I'll be looking forward to it. Yeah, like I said, we'll be back on Friday morning. We'll release a podcast with Sheriff Joe Bags. We'll go through the Rams. That's going to be a fun matchup. There's a lot of good Rams are a very good, talented team, but how great would it be to win against them? Like,
Oh yeah,
it
in
would
LA,
change this.
like
Oh my God, it would just
good
change.
again for Jared Goff. Good for the season. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
regardless, it goes a long way with the win here. But I mean, this could not be the only time we play the Rams this year, right? So
yeah. How I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of Lions fans out there. Maybe more if we would have been winning, like our record would have been a little bit better. I don't know, but I still, LA. It's almost every one of their games is like a road game out there, and with the way Lions fans travel, we could, you know, it could have an impact on this game.
yeah. Uh, It was interesting watching the Chargers and Eagles game. And it was like when the Eagles did something good, it was like all of a sudden the crowd got really loud. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a home game for them. What the heck?
Yeah.
I've heard that there's just too many interesting things to do in LA that they don't just
Mhm.
wait around for football.
Yeah, they don't. A lot of transplants too, fan transplants that go out there, but I don't know. I'm just thankful for having the crowd at Ford Field because it's always live in there, and the next time I'm in there, I'm gonna be rooting against Aaron Rodgers, which will be I might not have a voice
Perfect.
afterwards, man. All right, before we take off, have you seen any more 80s movies?
I have not watched any more 80s movies,
Okay, all
actually.
right. I watched Terminator. Have you seen the first Terminator?
We talked about this last time,
Did we? Okay, I
because
couldn't remember
I have, but like I think not enough where I could differentiate Terminators from each other.
between the two.
I
Okay.
like take moments from each one probably and have put them all into one movie in my brain to where I couldn't even tell you
Okay.
the exact plot or like what happens in what movie.
Which one did you see first? Did you see T2 first or the original?
What year do you think that came out?
Well, the T2 came out in 91. So, I
Okay,
mean, you
so
would have been
I
like
was a year old. I was 1 year old
right,
when that came
exactly.
out.
But I'm just wondering, like,
This is probably when I was
because it,
between the ages of like 12 and 15, probably when I saw whatever ones that I saw. So I don't remember at
yeah,
all.
because it's fun. So, the first one, obviously, Arnold comes back. He's the bad guy, right? So, he's like the Terminator trying to kill Sarah Connor. Now, the
So I
second
think
one,
the
it
second one is the
flips.
one that I saw where because the cop, the bad
Robert
one that's
Patrick
okay.
is T1000. He's the liquid
See,
metal, the bad guy.
that's
Yeah.
when I think of Terminator, that's what I think of in my head.
Okay.
So maybe I have not
So,
seen the first one. I can't
yeah.
say that with
So,
100% certainty.
okay. So it's really interesting because like when the ads and stuff came out in this 91, this is like before the internet. So like it was kept a secret that Arnold was the good guy in the second one. Everyone just assumed he was the bad guy. And you don't really see the interaction between him and John Connor until like, I don't know, it's a good like 15, 20 minutes into the movie. And then you finally realize, oh, Arnold's the good guy in this one. So there's like a generation of people that see this thing backwards. And you might be one of them where, you're surprised to see the first one where Arnold's the bad guy.
That might be the case. Is the second so is Terminator 2 the one at the end where he falls in is it like lava or he's like in
Yeah, where he goes in the liquid mold. Yeah, that one.
okay.
He's lowered down in chains and you know, and he says, "I know not why you cry."
Yeah, definitely need to rewatch those because no, I don't remember like I'm trying to look to see when Terminator 3 came out because I feel like when I saw them was around like when that one had come out because that was coming out like the new.
Yeah, I don't know when that came out. That feels like a late 90s thing, but
So
I'm not sure on that.
Terminator franchise.
Yeah, the first one came out
Terminator
in
was
84.
84. Terminator 2 is 91. Terminator 3 was 2003.
Oh, 2003. Okay.
So I'd have been 13 when Terminator 3 came out. So that was probably when I
So
saw
that's
the other ones and maybe I didn't think the first Terminator was any good and I just stuck with the second one.
yeah. I know everyone loves the second Terminator and it is a good movie, but I don't know. The first one is there's just like everything's practical in there. I mean, some of the special effects are really really dated. Like they do some of like stuff with stop motion, um, and so
Stop
it
motion in the
looks
Terminator?
in the Terminator, the first one with the robot, and so it kind of looks that does look janky. But the stuff that they do, like he has to cut out his eye in the first one, it's pretty gruesome, and it was amazing how they were able to do all that in 1984 and make it look decently believable. It's a great. Those are the first two are great. Everything after that is
I
not so
told you
great.
this is you just said decently believable. You just don't want to
Yes.
see the bad quality.
No, I know it's bad quality, but I think there's also for me there's some charm and the like it being practical and tactile. Like okay, this was like something they made, like a dummy that they made or whatever. And I mean, I get it. Like not everything could be Marvel. Um, you know, like how it looks now, it's like crazy believable. But I also look at like their stuff even in the Matrix, like especially the second one where he's fighting like 1,000 of those Smiths, and it all just looks like really bad CGI. Like it's takes you right out of the movie just as much as I think, bad makeup job in the early 80s could try to take you out of a movie. Now, I'm used to that. So like for you and my boys, you didn't grow up in the 80s, so like there's no nostalgia factor. You don't have any concept with like that's how movies were back then. So I could kind of
Right.
understand your viewpoint, but I have a different perspective on it and could appreciate
Sometimes
it.
I'll see like different TV shows and different things with the bad CGI, but then it's like, yeah, that's terrible, but it's kind of like funny terrible, and it's like, well, you know what? They made the most of whatever they had, and it's kind of just
Yeah.
whatever. It's not like, oh
Yeah.
god, this movie's terrible because this, explosion wasn't realistic. No, it's
Right.
kind of more on the funny side when maybe it's not funny, but it is what it is. I just told you I always go back to my Batman thing, like trying to watch Batman, realizing what a terrible movie it was. And then it's like,
Which one?
Batman,
Batman and Robin?
Batman and
The
Robin.
one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, have you
When's the last time you
seen
saw that?
I don't know. That one's X out of my mind, man. I don't even know when last time I saw that.
I don't know how old you were when that one came out, but you were probably old enough that right when you watched it, you were like, God, this is awful.
Yeah, it was.
Well, when
then,
I'm
like,
a kid, it's amazing. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
They had the McDonald's cups, like everything awesome about it. And then I tried to watch it as an adult, and I didn't make it all the way through. I had to shut it off.
Yeah.
It's like, this is terrible. It's like, it's tainted my memory of this.
Now, I know that, like, you probably grew up, Dark Knight's probably, Christian Bale's probably your Batman, I'm assuming.
Right.
Like, that's
But,
when you think of Batman.
I was older when that came out, but the thing was, there wasn't one Batman for multiple things like that, right? Like George Clooney and Val Kilmer, like they all had one movie, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Michael
Except for
Keaton
Christian
was the
Bale.
first two.
Right,
Michael
right.
Keaton was the
That
first
was
two,
before I
and
was
then it was
born.
Bale.
But so like when I was younger, that's what I'm saying. Val Kilmer had one movie, George Clooney had one movie. And then Christian Bale had like the series, and then Robert Pattinson had the series that could have been.
Yeah. Well, then Ben Affleck was,
I forgot about
Batman
Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Michael
Who's
Keaton
your favorite
is
Batman? Michael Keaton.
Who's my favorite one? Overall, I like the Christian Bale movies. Like overall, I like those. I like Michael Keaton as Batman because that was like the first time I had saw, other than the campy like what 70s TV show or whatever ever. But I remember like that movie came out in '89. I was 9 years old. That movie was like everyone wanted to go see that movie. It was first time they're going to do Batman right. I like Michael Keaton, but I would probably say I like the Christian Bale because I like those movies. I like Batman Begins, Dark Knight. The first time I saw that in the theater,
blown away.
I mean, it's one of those movies that I had a visceral reaction to the Joker. He made me feel uncomfortable the whole time. I mean, it's like a PG-13 movie, but you didn't know what the heck that guy was going to do. A lot of it was the music. That was
Phenomenal.
just a great movie. It's amazing. Batman Begins snuck up on everybody because Batman Begins was the first Batman movie after the movie that you're talking about, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. So
Yeah.
like it had a very low box office. I did not see that one in the theater. I did not see Batman Begins in the theater. It was one of those ones that I bought the DVD and then, watched it and I was like, dang, this is a really, really good movie. I really like this movie. And then, then we were actually on vacation when Batman Dark Knight comes out. And normally I won't go see a movie when I'm on vacation. I'm there to do other things. But I was so excited for that movie that we planned, like we had to drive like 45 minutes to a movie theater in Wisconsin to watch it.
And it was worth every minute that you drove.
I was just like totally blown away. And I kept scaring my wife because we were like in this house, we were like in the middle of the woods. So like I would just walk up the stairs and go, "Why so serious?" Got yelled at a few times, but you know how that is.
Right. Nice. Yeah, but that series was great. The Dark Knight obviously is the best one, but I really like Tom Hardy as Bane.
Oh yes.
In the following one too.
That opening sequence at Dark Knight Rises with the airplane, that is phenomenal. Love that. It might be one of my favorite things in the whole series. I just thought that was so well put together.
And I didn't like when I saw Dark Knight Rises, I did not see like too many like trailers or things ahead of time. I try not to. It's different with Marvel movies now sometimes, but I try not to watch too many trailers because I feel like it gives too much away or I like see different things. But So I had no idea how Tom Hardy. I didn't know the voice. Like I didn't know how he was going to talk as Bane. So that was a surprise to me too. I was like, oh man, this is dope.
Yeah. I like the football field too, where Heinz Ward's running the
Yes.
kickback and then like it blows up behind him. Yeah, that's I really like Dark Knight is the best movie. I think Dark Knight Rises is the third of the trilogy, but I think that there's still some stuff that is kind of weird in that movie, but I do like that movie a lot. And I thought I know that he got some weird like comments with the voice, but I liked
I
he
thought it
was
was good.
imposing. He was great.
Right. And it wasn't as good as Dark Knight, but if you think about it, it's, it makes it even a little bit better of a movie that it wasn't a huge letdown because of how great that was. So you think
Mhm.
of how good Dark Knight was, you're like, okay, surely this one's going to disappoint. And it didn't
Yeah.
really. Like, no, it wasn't
No.
as good, but I thought it was a really good movie.
Yep.
But that being said, I never even saw. I own the Robert Pattinson the Batman, but I've not seen that. And I've heard from several people that that is
You
really
haven't?
good, and that could be up there with like not the Dark Knight, but like Batman Begins. I've heard that it's up there and that it's really good. But my thing, like what you already know this, I can't sit for 3 hours straight and watch a movie and be in tune with
Yeah.
everything that's happening. I have 4 kids. There's too many things going
Yeah.
on. There's no way I could dedicate that time. So I've started it like quite a few times, like just a handful of times, and I can't, I might get 30, 40 minutes into it. And then 7 days later, when I have time to watch it again, I'm like, crap, I forgot what was going on.
Yeah. I like that movie. It is very dark. It seems like almost like I don't know if you know the Martin Scorsese type movie, like a very gritty, dark movie. And even the Penguin was good. Now, did you see the Penguin HBO Max series? Because that was really good too.
I did not watch that, no.
Yeah,
I
so
heard
that
that was
was
good,
really
yes.
yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed that surprising ending with it, but it
Funny
was really
story.
really good.
Before you move on,
Yeah.
the Penguin, because when you said that, it just reminded me, like, that was one of the earliest, like, nightmares and terrifying, like, events in my
Uh,
life is on HBO, the Michael Keaton Batman, Penguin, like,
uh,
bites off the nose or whatever.
mhm.
So, yeah,
Yes.
me as, like, a 3-year-old or something like that, and somehow that's, like, a core memory of, being terrified.
That's funny that you said that because I remember being a little bit, yeah, like a little bit weird out. Now, does that where he has the black like running down his face in that
I
too?
think so, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, I remember that being that movie had like a lot of people because they were selling like kids' toys and everything for that, and that was a pretty gruesome movie.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it. That's the only part I remember.
Yeah,
I'm sure I probably freaked out. I'm sure my parents shut it off, like,
that's funny because I'll tell you what, man, 80s movies. You talk about like what they used to put in 80s movies compared to like even 90s
remember
movies.
you said they
Oh
didn't
my
even
god.
have PG-13 back then, right?
They
It was
didn't, and it was crazy. Like Teen Wolf, they're like Teen Wolf is a PG movie, and there is like this makeout scene in a closet, and Michael J. Fox it turns into a wolf, scratches her back. There's also like a sex scene, like where you don't see any frontal or anything like that, but it's implied that she's naked because you just see her bare back, and then you hear him howl like a wolf like 2 minutes later. It was like wild what they would put like in a PG setting back then. Even like Back to the Future, when you think about like some of the concepts that are in there, like it's
yeah.
essentially like rape. Like it's like
Right, right.
on top of the incest line, like things in the 80s, like they would just put all that stuff in a movie and
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 according to
parents would
Jason,
let you
this is
watch
a
it.
magical time. Much better.
I learned so much, but there was no internet, man. Back then you didn't, yeah, it was like you knew where to pause movies at certain times, that get,
Nice.
young man, you could figure it out. Curious. So, all right, man, I think we're ready to take off. So anything else before we head out?
Nope. Appreciate everybody stopping in, chatting, hanging out, listening to us
Yep.
ramble on.
Exactly. I always end with movies. So, at least lately, I guess. All right. For Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go, Lions.